And Joseph Smith said, no, I'm not going to allow it, because he didn't want to get it out. It was a secret, and so he didn't get it out. Um, and so William Law then set up a printing press and published a lot of incriminating things about Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith has been involved in a lot of issues financially. He wasn't very good at finances, and he managed other people's finances and lost their money. So he was in hot water with a lot of people. He established a bank in Ohio, but it went under. And so he had all of that, and then the kind of like, sort of like a scandal that he was practicing polygamy. And so he set up a printing press to publish all of this. And Joseph Smith was very angry about this, and he sent his followers over to destroy the press, and they did. Well, then that started a war, more or less, and so the governor in Illinois put him in jail, Joseph Smith in jail, to protect him, because the mobs were after him. Well, they caught up with the jail, and they surrounded the jail and started shooting into it. And Joseph Smith, who had firearms brought him, he was shooting back. And finally, he jumped from a window and he broke his leg, and they put him up against the wall of a well, and they blasted him and killed him. Well, that's not right. That was illegal and immoral, and a horrible way to go from this person who was a founder of a very important religion. So it was a sad story, and it was after that then that Brigham Young led the people. I'm from Wyoming. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but I'm from Wyoming, and if you go any way far from my house, there's the Mormon Trail. There's actually, you've heard of the Oregon Trail? There's a Mormon Trail going to Salt Lake City, and these people go in there, covered wagons out to Salt Lake City, and they went to Wyoming territory. And it's a good way to go because you can, there's a peak called Laramie Peak, and it's very high mountain. And of course, as you're coming across Kansas and so forth, you could just head toward that mountain, and that would guide you on your way to Salt Lake City. So he died unfairly, I think, and tragically. But for a Catholic to be a martyr, you're not shooting back at people. So it's a different understanding of what a martyr is. And so then I did just a couple other things, and I'll finish this. The Mormon Church likes to get archaeologists to do work to prove the veracity or the reality or truth of the religion. And they hired a variety of, as a matter of fact, if you want to go into ancient Indian archaeology and all, they'll pay for most everything, all your expenses, because they want to dig up the truth, and because they believe it is true. And there was a guy by the name of Stuart Ferguson. He was an archaeologist who spent years digging for evidence, and he came to the conclusion there just isn't any. He dug for the remains of battles. There's supposed to be this big battle outside the hill of Cumorah, and he couldn't find anything. There was not a shred of evidence. And he went down to Mexico and Guatemala, and he looked for these cities that are supposed to exist in the early years of Mormonism. Nothing. There's not a shred of evidence anyway. So he declared that there is no evidence whatsoever. Now, he stayed with the Mormon Church. That was some years ago, so he may not be living now. But he stayed with the Mormon Church because he liked it, and he said that he'd give his money to the Mormon Church because they're more responsible than the government is, and they are. He said they're more honest, and they are, and they're better managers, and they are, and he likes to sing in the choir, but he doesn't buy into Mormonism anymore. But he hasn't left the church either. But so that's another way that we see that some of these claims get shredded. The one with the Egyptian papyri, the one with the archaeologist, and so forth. And then one other thing, then, I said two other things, I have the last one, and it is they claim to be Christians, and they are, in a sense, they follow Christ. But they don't really believe in the Trinity see, Trinity means tri-unity. Three persons unified in one God. They believe in tritheism, which is three separate gods. And as such, that is not what the Catholic Church teaches either. However, they say, well, that's not a problem because the Catholic Church was founded by Satan. So the Catholic Church is dead wrong. And so, yes, they're nice people. Yes, they're good people to have in the community. They do a lot of good. You don't want to hurt their feelings. But there are certain truths that we have to be honest about. And that's why I brought it up. Now, next time I'm going to talk about the Masons, because that's actually a religion as well. And the Masons are not allowed to join the Catholic Church, and they're excluded from community if they are Masons. And yet rumors have gone around for years that it's okay. The Catholic Church changed its mind. The Catholic Church never has changed its mind. It's still not acceptable to be a Mason. They do good things too, but I'll tell you about that later. And they do believe in some things that are very, very contrary to the Catholic Church. And they're declared enemies of the Catholic Church, and in history have done a lot of harm to the Catholic Church, especially in Mexico. But I'll talk about that next time. And then I want to talk about the Jehovah's Witnesses, because they're going to end up at your door as well. And then I'll talk about Islam, which is not a Christian at all, but it's very interesting to talk about. And I'll probably do talks on that. So thank you for listening, and I hope somebody pulls it up on YouTube and finds it useful. People have been telling me they've been listening to them and they liked it. So sayonara, adios, goodbye.